Hi guys, welcome to Shifting Gears, and with me I have the 2023 Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. ये एक cruiser motorcycle है and it is very beautiful to look at. The size, the stance, it is fantastic. Say goodbye to Harley Davidson and welcome this, the Super Meteor 650. ये इतनी ज़्यादा हेड टर्निंग मोटरसाइकिल है. I had to wait over here for 30 minutes so that people could just walk out of the frame. It is a magnet, it is a eyeball magnet. And इस वीडियो में हम बात करने वाले हैं इस मोटरसाइकिल के टूरिंग एबिलिटीज़ के बारे में. We are going to ride it out on the highway. हमने एक अलग वीडियो अपलोड किया है where we talk about the design, the ergonomics and the comfort and all the features. And we also have a separate video जहाँ पे हम बात करते हैं इस मोटरसाइकिल के सिटी राइड एंड हैंडलिंग एबिलिटीज़ के बारे में. So in this video, let us focus on if this motorcycle is going to be a good long ride machine or not. लेकिन उसके पहले चलिए सुन लेते हैं इस मोटरसाइकिल की एग्जॉस्ट नोट. The mic is inside my helmet. The visor is shut. इस तरह से आपको ये बाइक सुनाई देगी inside your full face helmet. Sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Now I am sure that most of you know the specifications, but very quickly let's revise it. इस मोटरसाइकिल के साथ आपको एक 648cc पैरेलल ट्विन 4-stroke SOHC एयर ऑयल कूल्ड engine मिल रही है. This engine produces 47 PS of power and 52.3 Newton meters of torque, and this engine is coupled to a 6-speed gearbox. अगर डायमेंशंस की बात करें, इस मोटरसाइकिल की लेंथ है 2260 मिलीमीटर्स, विड्थ है 890 मिलीमीटर्स, हाइट है 1155 मिलीमीटर्स, सीट हाइट है 740 मिलीमीटर्स, कर्ब वेट है 241 kg, व्हील बेस है 1500 मिलीमीटर्स एंड यू गेट 15.7 लीटर्स ऑफ टैंक कैपेसिटी. इस बाइक के साथ आपको एक 19 इंच फ्रंट व्हील और एक 16 इंच रियर व्हील मिल जाता है. ऑफ कोर्स यू गेट डिस्क ब्रेक्स एट बोथ एंड्स coupled with a dual channel ABS safety feature. So 47 PS of power and 52.3 Newton meters of torque. It might not sound like a lot to some riders, and also the power to weight ratio is not going to be as good as the Interceptor 650 or the Continental GT 650. But what is good is the stability thanks to the weight, the low center of gravity, and also because of the long wheelbase. चलिए अभी चला लेते हैं इस बाइक को हाईवे पे and let us try to understand how good is this bike going to be when you want to take it out for a long ride. सबसे पहले let us address the elephant in the room, the weight of this motorcycle. अभी जब आप इस बाइक को स्लो स्पीड्स पे मैन्यूवर करोगे, पार्किंग स्पीड्स पे मैन्यूवर करोगे, आपको ये वजन ज़रूर फील होगा. 241 kg is not light by any means. लेकिन जब आप इस बाइक को चलाते हो आउट ऑन द हाईवे, वंस यू स्टार्ट पिकिंग अप पेस, द वेट इज़ वेरी नाइसली मास्क्ड. काफ़ी अच्छी तरह से ये बाइक आप मैनेज कर पाओगे, डायरेक्शन चेंज कर पाओगे. तो इस हैवी वेट नेचर की वजह से यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी फाइटिंग द बाइक ऑल द टाइम. सो डोंट बी स्कैर्ड, just test ride this bike once and you will understand that the weight is something that you will feel inside your parking lot when you want to put it on the main stand or take it off the main stand. But once you start riding, the weight is not going to be a big problem. So that is that. And in case you drop it, by the way, तभी आपको ये weight ज़रूर feel होगा. It is just natural. There is nothing you can do about it. मेरी हाइट है 5 feet 8 inches. मेरा वेट है 80 kgs. Now couple all of that with the 241 kg curb weight of this motorcycle. Let me tell you, this bike swings along very pleasantly and very happily, and I have been very pleased and very surprised with the way this motorcycle handles. Royal Enfield के portfolio में I think this is the most mature handling motorcycle ever. This is also their new flagship. ये Royal Enfield की सबसे महंगी बाइक है अभी, and it does try to justify that premium price tag with the kit that it offers, with the looks that it offers, and also with the way it is moving right now out on the highway. And let me tell you, the road presence is just brilliant. It is a big head turner out on the streets. ये तो फिर भी एक dark paint scheme है. If you buy the brighter shades, you are going to be turning heads all the time out on the streets. Now, the next point to talk about is the engine. This engine is very smooth. We know that. We have ridden this engine with the Interceptor 650 and with the Continental GT 650 as well. And even in this format, it feels very smooth. It feels very relaxed. Of course, अभी इस बाइक के लिए जो स्टीयरिंग रेक है वो चेंज किया गया है because this is a cruiser. The wheelbase is longer. The gearing has been reworked completely. The fueling is different. The throttle maps are different. The air intake, the airbox is different, and also the exhaust is different. Also, most of the cycle parts are also all new for this Super Meteor 650. So, apart from the fact that this bike shares its engine, the core of the engine, with the Interceptor 650 and with the Continental GT 650, apart from that, this is an all new machine, and it feels very easy to ride. It feels very relaxing. It feels therapeutic to some extent because the motor stays calm at all times. Lekin, since we are out on the highway, I'm sure most of you guys want to know more about the performance. That is why we are out on the highway as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over to the shoulder, and then we will sprint from a standstill. You can have a look at the speedometer cluster, and then you can gauge the performance that this bike is going to offer you. Okay, so by the way, no riding modes, no traction control. You only get ABS as an electronic safety feature. That's it. Your right wrist does it all. So in 3, 2, 1. First gear 60 kmph. Second gear over 90. Third gear close to 120. And we are at serious triple digit speeds. And I am going to slow down now. So, you know, there you have it. The acceleration is quite brisk, and if you want to pick up pace in a hurry, ये motorcycle आपको disappoint नहीं करेगी. And the good thing is, compared to the Interceptor 650 and the Continental GT 650, जब ये bike pace pick up कर लेती है, once you start riding it hard and fast, it stays much more stable. It feels very planted. So that is something that you will really appreciate with this Super Meteor 650. And check it out, like I mentioned, the weight of this bike, you know, swinging it around and slicing through traffic, it is not going to be difficult at all. I'm going to pull over to the shoulder one more time, and we will sprint one more time. So, you know, understand the acceleration of this cruiser bike, of this new flagship Royal Enfield motorcycle. So now in 3, 2, 1. There you have it. Reaching 120 is very easy. And अगर आपको top speed के बारे में जानना है, you can easily do well over 140 kilometers per hour. Not that the roads are going to allow it, but serious triple digit speeds is very achievable on this Super Meteor 650. At times you can cross over 160 as well if the road permits, but I recommend that you stay within the speed limits, or at least respect other road users, respect the format of your motorcycle and ride responsibly. But coming back to the need for speed part, it can accelerate from a standstill to over 100 kilometers per hour effortlessly, and you have more than enough overtaking power even if you are going to be in 6th gear. So you won't necessarily have to downshift if you encounter slow road users. You can just stay in 6th, open up the gas, and this cruiser motorcycle will cruise past those slow vehicles out on the highway. So the performance aspect, I hope that you have understood. You can really have a lot of fun out on the highway. Ideal cruising speed की अगर बात करूं, 80 kilometers per hour पे तो ऐसा लगता है that you are riding it really slow because it wants to go faster, and this can go comfortably faster. You can stay at 120 kilometers per hour all day long, and this engine won't break a sweat. It will stay very happy. Check this out. I am at 70 kilometers per hour right now. Opening up the throttle, very easily overtaking this truck and coming back to the center lane. I'm going to demonstrate that to you one more time. Check this out. There is another truck approaching. I am at 100 kilometers per hour right now. I'm going to slow down. I am in 6th gear. I am not downshifting. So as soon as I open up the throttle, there is more than enough pulling power. There is fantastic grunt. So this 650cc engine, it is brilliant out for the highway. अगर आपको touring करनी है तो Royal Enfield की ये जो 650cc engine है, in any of the format, in Interceptor 650, in Continental GT 650, or in this Super Meteor 650, in any of these formats, this motor out on the highway, it is so smooth, it is so creamy, it is so effortless that I just fall in love with it every time I ride any bike with this engine. Now let us talk about the gearbox. इस बाइक के साथ आपको एक 6 स्पीड का गियरबॉक्स दिया गया है, and it has been working flawlessly. Not a single false shift, not a single miss shift. Every time I want to make any gear changes, it is very precise. The only thing is that the clutch lever is on the heavier side. It is not the lightest that you might have used. So इस चीज़ का आपको ध्यान रखना है. This might take some time getting used to. Clutch or brake levers, by the way, adjustable है. So you can adjust them so that you reach them confidently and comfortably. The gearbox, when you are riding this bike hard, it doesn't sound too jerky, too notchy. The gear changes are smooth, and it is not going to unsettle the motorcycle. Of course, you need to know in which gear you should upshift or downshift when you are riding it hard and fast. But when you are sensible enough, and when you are playing around with this bike, this engine and gearbox, this setup has evolved with time. This engine has gotten better. This 6-speed gearbox with this 650cc engine, it is now, I think, flawless. There is nothing more that I am expecting from this motorcycle. The only thing is that if Royal Enfield could have bundled traction control with this motorcycle, especially at this premium price tag, it would have been such a sweet deal. काफ़ी premium Royal Enfield demand कर रहे हैं from this Super Meteor 650 compared to the other 650 twins. So an additional traction control would have justified that this is their new flagship, most expensive motorcycle. Coming back to the engine and gearbox, out on the highway, happily you can cruise from 50 kilometers per hour till the top speed. आपको gear changes करने की भी ज़रूरत नहीं है. The torque availability lower down in the rev range is very, very good. So you can stay in the higher gear at a lower speed, simply roll on the gas and pick up pace. But when you have to quickly downshift 1 or 2 gears, it does that in a precise fashion, and you will confidently be able to exploit all the power and torque that this motor has to offer. Now let's talk about the rider's triangle. This is a cruiser bike. Feet forward riding position, upright बैठा हुआ हूँ मैं, and you know this is a very relaxed position to sit in. अगर आपको एक cruiser मोटरसाइकिल खरीदनी है, this is the best that you can buy in this particular price category. And this Super Meteor 650 actually has no competition. Other cruisers are much more expensive. So Royal Enfield has hit the sweet spot with the pricing of this bike, which starts at 3.49 lakh ex showroom. Coming back to the rider's triangle, feet forward, so very relaxing. Wide handlebar, upright riding posture, so आपको आपके wrist पे, elbow पे, shoulder पे कोई भी pain feel नहीं होगा. The only thing is, on long hours, if you get tired, it is just your back which is going to feel the pain. इस मोटरसाइकिल की जो सीट है, the stock setup, it has a nice scoop, so it keeps you in place even when you are hard accelerating this motorcycle. So it will push you along with the bike. You will not be sliding around on the seat of this Super Meteor 650. लेकिन अगर आपको ज़्यादा comfort चाहिए, I would recommend that you buy the touring seat of this motorcycle. Now that is also due to another point which we will get to. But for more comfort, I would recommend that you get that particular seat, because for the pillion, this stock seat is insufficient. It is too narrow, and on a cruiser, on this particular bike, in such a format, you need that pillion backrest. Otherwise, the pillion has to hold on to you all the time to stay in place and to stay secure. Now, the big point which I want to talk about is ride quality. इस मोटरसाइकिल का जो सस्पेंशन सेटअप है, आगे आपको एक शोवा बिग पिस्टन फोर्क मिल रहा है, upside down suspension for the first time on a Royal Enfield, and the front end has a very positive feel and feedback. It feels very confident on the wheel. But the rear suspension, the dual rear shock absorbers, they are very very stiff. हमने stiff suspension setup expect किया ही था on a cruiser because such is the format, but it is so stiff that after 2 or 3 hours you will need a break. That is also because हमारे ये जो रास्ते हैं, the Indian streets are not really all that great, and because of this stiff suspension setup, you will feel each and every irregularity out on the highway. And you know, at times, if the road is really bad, that stiff rear suspension can unsettle you and can unsettle the motorcycle. So इस चीज़ का आपको ध्यान देना है. I am going to say this one more time. The stability is fantastic because it has a long wheelbase. The weight is heavier and it is lower. Center of gravity low है. So जब आप अच्छी सड़कों पे इस बाइक को चला लोगे, it is going to stay glued and it is going to, you know, munch miles very confidently. लेकिन जब रास्ते खराब हो जाएंगे, when the roads are uneven, you will feel that, you know, irregularity, especially on your back. And when the roads get bad, you will feel that jerk, and you know, it will trouble your back if you ride this bike on such roads. So my word of advice, अगर आपके एरिया में खराब रास्ते ही हैं, you know, first test ride this bike and understand if you are going to be okay riding it on such terrain. But in such a situation, जब रास्ता काफ़ी अच्छा है, when the highway is well paved, ये जो Super Meteor 650 है, it is such a beautiful motorcycle to ride. It is very comfortable right now at 80 kilometers per hour. No movement, no bounciness, and you know, I can very easily maintain this speed and stay happy on the saddle. I can pick up pace, and even at 100 kilometers per hour, this bike stays very stable, and it gives you more confidence that you can ride it at a much higher speed and that the bike will, not be unsettled. Another point out for the highway is that you will need that front windscreen. Now, because this is a cruiser, you sink into the motorcycle and you sit low. But if you are going to ride for a long time, if you are going to spend a lot of time on the highway, that windscreen will offer you some wind protection. अभी अगर आप 100 to 120 की रेंज में इस बाइक को चला लोगे, the wind blast is going to be felt. Not that it is a bad thing here out in the Indian, weather condition, because it is hot and I really appreciate, feeling the wind on me. But on long rides, that wind blast can tire you. So अगर आप इसका touring model नहीं खरीदना चाहते हो, if you are still going to tour without the touring model, just get that windscreen. It also looks quite cool, so it will add to the overall road presence of your motorcycle. Also, the windscreen is clear lens, so you will be able to see through it as well. थोड़े फीचर्स मिसिंग ज़रूर हैं इस बाइक के साथ. आपको कोई माइलेज इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं मिलती है. You do not have range information as well, so you will have to rely on your own calculation. माइलेज की अगर बात करें तो you can expect somewhere between 25 to 30 kmpl depending on how you ride it. माइलेज इंटरसेप्टर और कॉन्टिनेंटल GT के मुकाबले थोड़ा कम हो सकता है because this is a heavier motorcycle, so don't compare it with those bikes. But if you are an easy rider, maybe you can get better mileage from this bike as well. Also, to help you get better mileage, इस मोटरसाइकिल के साथ स्पीडोमीटर क्लस्टर में आपको एक इको इंडिकेटर दिया गया है. दैट इको इंडिकेटर इज थ्रॉटल डिपेंडेंट. तो अगर आप थ्रॉटल को जेंटली ट्विस्ट करते हो तो वो इको इंडिकेटर आपको ये बताएगा दैट इन सच अ राइडिंग सिचुएशन यू आर गोइंग टू गेट बेटर माइलेज. बट इफ यू रिंग द थ्रॉटल हार्डर, वो इको इंडिकेटर वहां से हट जाएगा. इट इज नॉट अ कलर्ड इंडिकेटर, it is just eco written in a small font on this speedometer cluster. No riding modes, by the way, so don't confuse it as a eco riding mode. It is just dependent on how you twist your wrist on this Super Meteor 650. The next point to talk about is the overall handling package. Now, I have been riding it for more than 300 kilometers. This is day 3 for me with this Super Meteor 650. And let me tell you, it handles very well. I was a little scared when I saw that weight figure. I thought that this is going to be quite a task. But you can very easily change directions on this bike. And, it is not difficult to maneuver it through traffic, slow moving or fast moving. No problems at all. जब आप इस बाइक को हाईवे पे चला लोगे, in a straight line it stays very stable, it stays very planted. जब आप corners encounter करोगे, if the corners are well paved, अगर सड़क अच्छी है तो ये बाइक काफ़ी confidently जो लाइन आप चाहोगे उसे मेंटेन कर लेगी. But if the road surface is uneven, I would suggest that you slow down a little because that stiff rear suspension can leave the bike unsettled and it might scare you if you are new to this bike. Overall, the road manners are very mature and I think this motorcycle will do wonders, especially in the overseas market, and that is also because the roads over there are great. They are better than what we have over here, and this motorcycle is definitely a winner. Royal Enfield की ये जो flagship है, it is the most expensive bike that the brand has built, and it feels like that, it rides like that, and it even looks like that. So I am giving it a definite thumbs up. For sure, I really like this Super Meteor 650, and I already know 2 or 3 friends who have gone ahead and booked it even before test riding it, because there is just nothing quite like it. Now let me demonstrate the tractability of this motor. I am going to slow down, and I am in 6th gear, by the way. So check this out. The speed is dropping. I am at 50 kilometers per hour now. 6th gear, no clutch input, gently opening up the throttle, and this bike can easily pick up pace and build momentum. So tractability इतनी अच्छी है that even out on the highway, when you just want to relax for a bit, when you don't want to, ring the throttle and ride hard, you can stay in that higher gear and the bike will be very comfortable. Check this out. 6th gear again. I am going to climb up on a bridge. No throttle right now, and twisting the wrist. Very confident and no knocking at all, no hesitation at all. So torque delivery lower down in the rev range is such that you will not be tired because of this heavy clutch, because you will not have to use it much, because the engine will not demand a downshift. Now बात करते हैं टायर्स के बारे में. सीएट के टायर्स आपको दिए गए हैं इस बाइक के साथ. 19 inch front, 16 inch rear, and in my review ride experience, which has been more than 300 kilometers so far, the tires offered me good grip, no scary movement or nervousness at all. गीली सड़क पे भी मैंने इस बाइक को थोड़ा बहुत चला लिया था, and even when I was using the brakes, the tires were offering me good grip. Right now out on the highway, while encountering corners as well, the tires have reasonable grip for the format that this bike has and the application and the purpose of this motorcycle. Also tubeless tires हैं. So unlike the Continental GT 650 and the Interceptor 650, you don't have to worry about those punctures. You will be able to quickly fix it if you are carrying a portable puncture repair kit with you. अगला पॉइंट है ब्रेक्स. ड्यूअल चैनल ABS आपको दिया गया है, नॉट स्विचेबल, वर्किंग एट बोथ एंड्स ऑल द टाइम. ब्रेकिंग बाइट फ्रॉम द फ्रंट एंड इज वेरी नाइस एंड it is not too sharp, reasonably progressive भी है, and when you really grab on to the front brake, ज़्यादा nose dive भी नहीं है. So it is not going to unsettle you on the rider seat. The rear brake is very sharp. You get a large rear disc, by the way. Braking bite काफ़ी sharp है, and stopping power is much more than you might actually need. Combined ABS अगर रॉयल एनफील्ड आपको इस बाइक के साथ दे देते, it would have been a much better thing, because मेरे राइड एक्सपीरियंस में I ended up triggering the ABS a lot of times when I was using the rear brake. It is that sharp. So आपको काफ़ी केयरफुली इस बाइक के ब्रेकिंग सेटअप को समझना है, and then you can stomp on the brakes if at all you encounter any emergency. Overall, स्टॉपिंग डिस्टेंस कॉन्फिडेंस इंस्पायरिंग है, स्टॉपिंग पावर मोर देन सफिशिएंट है. इट इज जस्ट दैट द रियर ABS गेट्स ट्रिगर्ड वेरी इजीली. द रियर ब्रेक इज टू शार्प. व्हेन आई हैड टू जस्ट स्लो दिस बाइक डाउन while approaching corners, slow it down out on the highway, in stop and go traffic, the brakes did a fine job, no problems whatsoever. ये जो रियर ब्रेक मैंने आपको बताया, दैट द ABS कीप्स गेटिंग ट्रिगर्ड, इट डजंट लॉक अप, इट डजंट स्किड. सो डरने की बात नहीं है. यू विल जस्ट फील दैट ABS ट्रिगर ऑन योर राइट फुट जब आप ब्रेक्स का इस्तेमाल कर लोगे. सो बी केयरफुल, अंडरस्टैंड द बाइक एंड देन राइड इट हार्ड वंस यू आर यूज्ड टू द बाइक. टूरिंग की अगर बात करें तो एक फीचर जो है इस बाइक का, विच इज़ अ बिग टॉकिंग पॉइंट, इज़ नॉट दैट ग्रेट बाय द वे. इस बाइक के साथ आपको फुल LED हेडलैम्प दिया गया है, विच इज़ अ फर्स्ट ऑन अ रॉयल एनफील्ड, फर्स्ट टाइम एवर. हेडलैम्प दिखने में तो काफ़ी खूबसूरत है. द डिज़ाइन डिटेलिंग इज़ क्वाइट नाइस एंड इवन द साइज लुक्स रिस्पेक्टेबल. लेकिन रात को मुझे ऐसा लगा दैट द हेडलैम्प थ्रो, द लाइट वॉज नॉट ऑल दैट ग्रेट. I would definitely need additional aux lights on this bike if I am going out on a long ride. So इस चीज़ का आपको ध्यान देना है. If you have bought this motorcycle, if you have purchased it, let us know if you are happy with the headlamp or not. and if we are mistaken in our opinion about it. अगर आप ये सुपर मीटियोर 650 खरीद के टूरिंग करने वाले हो विद अ पिलियन, I would strongly recommend that you buy the touring seat and you also attach the pillion backrest. इस बाइक का फॉर्मेट ऐसा है that if the pillion is not holding on to you and if the pillion backrest is not attached, pillion का बैलेंस जो है वो खराब हो सकता है. The pillion can move backwards and that might be a safety hazard. Otherwise the pillion will have to hold on to you all the time. Also, जो स्टॉक सीट आपको मिल रही है, the split seat, the pillion seat is not comfortable, it is not wide enough, and also if the padding was a little more comfortable it could have kept you happier, but as is what it is. जब मैं इस बाइक को पिलियन के साथ चला रहा था, my pillion was uncomfortable and unhappy both on this bike. So keep this in mind. If this bike is going to serve as a two-up motorcycle, if this bike is something that you are buying to go out on a long ride with your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, family member, whoever, just ensure that they also spend some time behind you when you go and test ride this bike, because it is going to be an important talking point in your ownership cycle. Overall, once you are in the riding position, this Super Meteor 650 feels like a substantial motorcycle. It feels like a big bike, and I have no complaints. I just wish that the speedometer cluster had more information, especially range at least. Tripper navigation module आपको दिया गया है इस बाइक के साथ, so that is going to ensure that you are never lost. Of course, you have to download your app on your smartphone so that you can have that tripper direct you to wherever you want to go. If you want a short and sweet verdict about this motorcycle, let me tell you, forget about buying a cheap Harley Davidson. Just buy this Super Meteor 650. You would be a much happier customer. Of course, bragging rights थोड़े कम होंगे, लेकिन part support काफ़ी बढ़िया होगा, and this is a proper पक्का cruiser. There is nothing that this bike lacks if you compare it to any second-hand Harley Davidson which might fall in the same price range. It feels very good. It feels very well put together. छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स हैं, जैसे कि थोड़े स्क्रूज और बोल्ट्स एक्सपोज्ड है, वायरिंग पे थोड़ी टेप जो है वो ख़राब नज़र आती है, बट दैट इज़ इट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, दिस मोटरसाइकिल इज़ हार्ड टू फॉल्ट, एंड इफ़ यू आर लुकिंग एट मोर कंफर्ट ऑन योर राइड, तभी ये बाइक आपको थोड़ा डिसअपॉइंट कर देगी बिकॉज ऑफ द स्टिफ राइड क्वालिटी, बिकॉज ऑफ द स्टिफ सस्पेंशन सेटअप. अदरवाइज, this is Royal Enfield's best effort ever, and it shows, and I really appreciate what the brand has managed. अगर आप इस Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 को चलाते चलाते हाईवे पे कभी ट्रैफिक एनकाउंटर कर देते हो, you know what highway traffic is, right? It is moving, but it is not moving fast. In such a situation, again, this engine is not going to demand any downshift. You can stay in your 6th gear, you can stay in that higher gear and simply keep moving along, and as soon as the road opens up, you can first use your turn indicator, then open up the gas and just pick up pace. So quite a fantastic machine, and it does almost everything that you want it to do, and this is very unique. This cruiser format is quite different, and I really like it. Little things matter a lot, and these mirrors also matter a lot. Round mirrors, chrome finished. ये जो स्टॉक है, ये जो स्टिक है, ये ज़्यादा लंबी नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी the mirrors are offering me a good view of what is behind me. So a good job in that department. अगर आपको ये डिज़ाइन पसंद नहीं है, then you can opt for the bar end mirrors जो रॉयल एनफील्ड आपको एज एन एक्सेसरी ऑफर कर रहे हैं. ग्राउंड क्लियरेंस की अगर बात करें तो हाईवे पे तो आपको ग्राउंड क्लियरेंस की कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी, स्पेशली व्हेन द रोड सरफेस इज सच. स्पीड ब्रेकर्स पे से भी अगर आप इस बाइक को चला लोगे, देयर आर सम स्टेट हाईवेज जहाँ पे काफ़ी नेस्टी स्पीड ब्रेकर्स होते हैं, तभी भी आपको ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम फील नहीं होगा इस बाइक के साथ। इट डज मैनेज इट क्वाइट नाइसली। इफ़ यू थिंक you are going to ride it over really bad roads, you can buy a underbelly guard, a sump guard to protect your bike's lower body. But the ground clearance in my 350 kilometers of riding experience has not been an issue at all out on the highway or even inside the city. जब मैं इस बाइक को मेरे पिलियन के साथ चला रहा था, the pillion weighed close to 60 kg, I weigh close to 80 kg. The bike has 241 kg of curb weight. Even with all of this load, never did it scrape anywhere, not even on the largest of speed breakers. इस बाइक के साथ आपको मेन स्टैंड भी मिलता है, so it should give you confidence that it will not hurt you when you ride it over a big speed bump. The engine, the underbelly or any of those components, none of them are going to get scratched or damaged. Now I did mention that this motorcycle can corner quite confidently, and it does change direction effortlessly out on the highway, and it is fairly quick for a motorcycle of this size and of this weight. So it is confidence inspiring for sure. And if you are going to encounter corners, इस बाइक का जो एग्जॉस्ट है, it is not so low hanging that it is going to scrape, so you will be able to have a reasonable amount of fun even in this cruiser format, even on twisty roads. So this cruiser format is not going to be a limiting factor at all. Now check this out. इस तरह के सड़क पे जब आप इस बाइक को चला लोगे, when the road surface is not ideal, not even, you will feel the irregularity, and the bike does get unsettled over bigger bumps. So out on the highway, if you see that the road surface is going to get bad, I insist that you should slow down, because if you are not careful, if you are not grabbing onto the handlebar firmly, it can get scary and you would not like it. Another important aspect to consider is the heat management, which is not a problem at all. 2 घंटे से ज़्यादा हो चुके हैं जब से मैं इस बाइक को चला रहा हूँ. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The temperature outside is well above 30 degrees, but I am not feeling the heat on my feet at all. I am wearing proper riding boots, I am wearing proper riding pants, and they are thick, so nevertheless not sweating and not feeling hot at all. The heat management is quite good on this Super Meteor 650. Oil cooled engine है ये, liquid cooled नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी it stays comfortable out on the highway even when you are ringing the throttle, and even inside the city it doesn't get uncomfortable unless of course you get stuck in bumper to bumper traffic for a really long time. So even the heat management is quite good. Overall, this Super Meteor 650, it is such a fantastic product. I mean, even Interceptor owners and Continental GT 650 owners are going to feel jealous of how well put together this motorcycle is compared to their 650cc, which used to be the flagship at one point of time. But now this is the top of the line Royal Enfield motorcycle that you can buy. Check this out, stuck in traffic out on the highway, but even with this 241 kg curb weight, ये जो Super Meteor 650 है, you can easily make your way. But you can notice that I am avoiding the rough patch because the suspension just hits your bottom really hard, and even you will avoid it when you buy this motorcycle. So keep that in mind, guys. The suspension setup, if you ride it on a bad road fast, this bike, this seat will throw you off it. अगर आपको इस मोटरसाइकिल के रिफाइनमेंट के बारे में जानना है, let me tell you that the engine is very smooth, the gearbox is smooth and precise, but there is some buzz that you will feel. फुट पेग्स पे आपको ज़्यादा नोटिसेबल बज़ फील होता है. Even between 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, you will feel some buzz. It is not something that will make or break the deal, but it is not something that you will not notice. You will notice it. मैंने प्रॉपर राइडिंग बूट्स पहने हैं, लेकिन फिर भी मुझे ये बज़ ज़रूर फील हुआ. हैंडल बार पे थोड़ा सा बज़ है, but it is not something that will trouble you in your day-to-day ride or on your long ride. छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हैं ये. They can be ironed out if Royal Enfield tries with better damping and insulation material. अभी आप देख सकते हो I am stuck in traffic. I am out on the highway. लेकिन फिर भी ये जो सुपर मीटियोर 650 है, you can easily manage it and इस तरह के गैप्स में से भी आप इस बाइक को कॉन्फिडेंटली चला पाओगे. The overall weight bias of this bike, the overall weight management is such that it stays in a nice straight line and it stays like that confidently. The only problem is जब खड्डे में से आपको इस बाइक को चलाना होगा, even at slow speeds, आपको वो खड्डा ज़रूर फील होगा. आपको ये सारे irregularities ज़रूर फील होंगे on your bottom. When you are going to ride this bike around twisty sections, आप देख सकते हो, it is very confidence inspiring when you are attacking corners and once you have picked up your line, जिस तरह से आप इस बाइक को चलाना चाहते हो in the corner, once you are confident and comfortable, ये बाइक जो है it stays planted and it will not make you feel nervous or doubt your decision. Check this out. You can very simply get on and off the gas. Throttle response काफ़ी अच्छा है and the power delivery from this 650cc engine is not explosive. It is butter smooth. Yes, it is fast when you want to ride it fast, but it is not KTM like. It is not rapid. It is not like a maniac. So ये चीज़ जो है mature riders ज़रूर appreciate करेंगे. And check this out. When you ride this bike around some long sweeping corners, even when the road surface is not ideal, it does stay where you want it to stay. And if the road surface was better, I could have been much faster in this situation right now. Please, 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 Royal Enfield, if you do get this feedback from a lot of customers that the rear suspension is too stiff, through your accessories program, offer us a more comfortable suspension setup at the back so that we can stay happier on the saddle for a longer time. If that is possible, please give it to us. अगर आप इस बाइक के साथ टूरिंग करने वाले हो, I think you can do 300 to 350 kilometers without requiring a fuel stop. So the tank range is also quite respectable. Very good bike, stable machine, and thumbs up from my side. So that is all that I want to share with you about this Super Meteor 650, if at all you are going to ride it out on the highway. As a highway tourer, if the roads are great, this is a great motorcycle. As a highway tourer, if the roads are broken, this might unsettle you at times when the roads are broken. लेकिन अगर आपको इस बाइक के सिटी राइड एंड हैंडलिंग के बारे में जानना है, if you want to understand how this bike performs inside the city, for that we have a separate video, so do check it out. अगर आपके और कोई सवाल हैं इस बाइक के बारे में, ask me in the comments below and I will try my best to help you out. Till next time, subscribe to the Shifting Gears channel, press that bell icon, always ride safe, and always guys, follow speed limits and stay safe, stay responsible.